Coming back through the yards today, checking these splits that we've made over the last month or so, 2 months probably. Started, if you watched the last couple of videos, we started as soon as we started pulling honey supers off, we started making splits, pulling splits up above queen excluders and then up above a double screen board, making splits for the fall. And that's why we overwinter them on those above those double screen boards over the winter time. But it's been, I try to come within a month of making the split and check for queen rot. And you need to do it in that time period. It's best to do it in that time period, because if the split fails to become queen rot, you've still got a good population of bees and a good amount of resources in there that most likely has not been robbed out, because you still got a fairly strong split. It's still in good shape to pull more brood up into if you're doing a walkaway split, or drop a new queen cell in, or a new mated queen, whatever you're using to get queen rot. You're still in good shape to do that if you come, say 4 weeks after you make the split. It quickly changes after those 4 weeks. Then 5 to 6 weeks from the time you make that split, if they don't get queen rot, they're going to start becoming land workers, and also your population is going to start dwindling down pretty fast. And that what honey or nectar that they have in the hive is going to get robbed out. And also, this time of year, it will quickly get overrun with hive beetles and wax moths. So say all that to say that when you make those splits, 4 weeks later, you need to come back out and check for queen rot. What I do if they are not, if they have failed to become queen rot, I will take and just go in, check the middle of those brood frames to see, just look for eggs. That's all you gotta do. Don't have to look for the queen. Just look for eggs or any kind of brood, because by that time, by 4 weeks from the time you made that split, all the brood that you moved into it will be emerged out. So if you find any brood in there, that means that you have got a new queen. If they're not queen rot, I'll go back, just pull the split back off the top, the double screen board back off the top, go back into the bottom hive, and no matter what kind of method I'm using to get queen rot, it's good to pull another frame of brood and bees up into the middle of that split again, and then add your queen or your cell, or if you're doing a walkaway split, just make sure you've got eggs on that frame, put it right in the middle of that hive, and give them another chance to become queen rot. It is tough to, it's hard to get queen rot this time of year, which, as I've said before, you've got to feed, and you really need to feed with buckets. That increases the chances of getting queen rot drastically, but it's still tough. This year has been the hardest that I've seen to get queen rot. I've struggled getting queen rot this year, but it's still worth doing for what splits that you do wind up being successful with, because they're really good to have going into the next spring. I think next year I'm probably going to buy mated queens next year and make these splits with those, just because it's so hard to get queen rot this time of year, and I'm trying to kind of wind down with my bee work for the season. be a lot easier on me this time of year if I had made the queens and put them in there and you know, had really close to 100% success. I wouldn't have to keep going through yards multiple times. I'm probably going to do it 3 rounds this fall, going through, and the ones that are not queen rat, trying to redo the split. Next year I think I'm going to buy queens. Got a couple of suppliers that I really like their stock and kind of want to add some of it into mine. I've got extremely good bees. I'm very happy with the bees I have. I do not treat and have never treated these bees, and over the years I have created a really good treatment-free bee that has had very, very high survivability. They do really well, have very low mite counts. But if you keep breeding those queens over and over with the same stock, the faults of those bees start to show over time. So as time has went on, I have continually added some other stock, just a little bit here and there in different yards, to add drones from other stock to add into my genetics. And I'm going to do that. I'll continue to do that. So I've got a couple of suppliers that I'm probably going to buy queens from next fall to make these splits with, and keep some of them on my yards, and also sell some of those overwintered fall splits. But I think that's what I'll do from now on. Another thing that I'm doing as I go through checking these splits, and especially the ones that I'm pulling more brood up into, or don't have to be pulling brood into, you can do it with any of them. I have hives over time, especially this time of year, that has went through the honey flow and swarmed towards the end of the honey flow and wound up not getting queen rat. And here's one of them right here, actually 2 of them right here, that everything looks good except these 2 hives right here. These, I'm just assuming that this is a dead out here. I know this one is, because you can see without opening up, it's been robbed out, no bees in it. But this just hives that have swarmed and failed to get queen rat. And you know, if you got a small amount of hives, you need to keep a check on those hives all through the honey flow for swarming. And if they do swarm, you need to make sure they get queen rat, and if not, you need to take action to get those hives back queen rat. But with the numbers of hives that I've got, depending on what's going on, I'm not gonna catch every one of them that fails to get queen rat. And what I'll do is, once I see that it's a dead out, when I'm going through pulling splits, I will obviously know if they're queen rat or not, because I'm gonna find some brood and eggs a lot of the times. So I will know if what queens are queen rat or not. But the ones that I don't do that in, eventually they're going to look like this. They're just going to be dead outs. And what I'll do, now that I'm going through pulling splits, or even after I've made all of my splits and going back checking for queen rat, I'll pull that hive off of that pallet. I'll either set, depending on the strength of this split, I can tell there's a lot of bees in that split. That's going to be a queen rat split. Most likely, that's going to be a queen rat split, and probably got a good population of bees. They're probably in good shape to just sit on an empty spot over there on their own. If it was a weaker colony, I would just leave the double screen board up under them and move them on over to, say, that double deep over there that does not have a split on it. And I pull this dead out off and pull all those good frames out, just assuming that they're not eat up with wax moths. Any good frames in there, I'm going to pull out. And if you watched the last couple of videos that I was making these splits in, there's going to be, especially on the outside of what will now be the brood nest, there's going to be empty foundation that's not drawn out yet. And I pull some of those out and add my drawn out frames out of these dead outs into those, just to protect those frames. You can pull it off and store it however you do your supers over the winter time. You can store those deeps the same way, use them the next spring, but I prefer to let the bees take care of them until next spring, rather than storing them up. And that's the way I do it. I pull out foundations out of these splits, add those drawn out combs in there, and then I'll store the foundations rather than the drawn out comb. It's better for the bees. They get their nests built up faster, and you don't have to store that comb. It's been about probably over 5 weeks since I've got back to these splits and checked them. It's been too long, and this is the result of not doing that. When they have not become queen right. You can see the population has got pretty small. It's probably got a frame of bees left in it, which is fine. I mean, there's enough bees in that to restart a split in. I mean, I would be completely fine with dropping a queen cell right down into that. Preferably a mated queen at this point. It's coming in the 1st of September, but you can definitely make splits with cells in Alabama through the month of September. I've done it before, and they've done great. But if I was going to drop a cell, it'd be better if you pull up another frame of open brood and bees. It would definitely be a lot better. But you can make this work. But being the length of time it's been since I have been back and checked the split, this is what I wound up with. That is laying workers. You see those protruding dome-shaped cells. That is a laying worker hive. And on this one too. So at this point, even with laying workers, once this hive has got to be laying workers, a lot of times you'll find where they're trying to make queen cells, and they will make queen cells. They'll even cap it off and grow the larvae out. Grow. You know, I'm assuming it will emerge. It's just going to be a drone. I've never seen them that I know for sure that emerge, but I know that I have found them before where there is it appears as a queen cell, and it will be capped off, but it's built by laying workers. If you're finding those open queen cells where they're trying to make a queen, I do believe that you can still get those queen right without taking any other actions. Just maybe I'd pull another frame or two of open brood and then put my queen cell in, or mated queen, or whatever I'm doing. But once they get to this point where you see no more queen cells, all it is just open brood and calf brood, which is all drone brood. If you're not finding any more queen cells, I believe at that point it's past the point of being able to get queen right. You could pull some more brood up and give it a try, and I know that I have had those get queen right at times. I don't know what kind of percentages you might get out of that, but I know it is possible. But your best option is to set this off. If you still wanted to make a split, just pull a new split into this. You're better off either taking this box, going over here to another, let's say go over here to another strong hive, and one that don't have a split, say this one right here, and just set that, no queen excluder, no double screen board or anything, set it directly on top of this hive. Just make it 3 boxes. Those bees in that will come up, they're going to kill those laying workers, whatever laying workers is in that hive. They'll eliminate them, and then you can pull that box back off if you want, and do whatever you want to with it, but they will take care of the land workers in there. And you can actually come back in a few days, pull that box back off, and set it somewhere else and make a split right back into it. Or you can take them. What I'm about to do with these, I'm about to just set this box off and set them over to the side. Just stand it up on end and let the bees disperse and come back with it and load it up and take it, put it in storage. I'm gonna set it off to the side to allow these other hives to rob out whatever nectar, syrup, or whatever's in those frames, and then I'm gonna put it in storage. But waiting too long to come back, that's what you'll find. I'm gonna find a weak box of bees with land workers. Here's a split that I opened up, and just looking at the population that was clustered up in the center of that hive, I thought for sure they was queen rat, but going into it, they are not. So I pulled one of the foundations off the outside of the box and then spread the frames apart. I don't have any queens or cells, so I'm just gonna get a frame with eggs out of another hive and put it right there. I've already got one in my hand. I've come over here to this double deep hive right here. It's pretty strong. Just right there in the top, found I would rather have a full frame of open brood with eggs on it, but I did find this one. The rest of those frames on the top's got older brood. This one's got mostly honey or nectar or sugar syrup but right there in the middle, same way on both sides of the frame, is some young open brood and eggs. So I'm going to take that and move that right over here, right into the center of that hive. I looked, make sure it didn't have the queen on it from the other hive. I'm going to put that right there, right in the center of that hive, and we're going to set it back in place. We'll give them another 4 weeks, and hopefully they get queen right this time. This box is just, I'm about wrapped up fooling with these splits for the year. If there wasn't such a population, I'd just set it off. This is some of the boxes sitting right here that I have set off. Some of those splits that didn't get queen right, population had died down in. This one had a good strong population still, so I hate to waste that. They've got a lot of this sugar syrup and nectar stored up in this box. Good population of bees. They've even drawn some new comb out. So I hate to just set it off. So I'm gonna move this frame of bees in there, with eggs on it, and give them another chance to get queen right. So maybe in 4 weeks we'll have a new queen in it. There's a couple of things that I have really confirmed as I've made these splits through the summertime. One, I really don't know the explanation for part of it. I started, it was the beginning of July when we first started pulling honey, and I started the first splits then, and made them all the way through the first of August, first week or so of August, and I've seen a difference in queen right success as times went on. I had a lot better success in August than I did in July. I don't know the explanation of that, other than I did start making, as I went through making splits, I started making them stronger towards the end. Because my first mistake, and I knew better than this the way I done it. I didn't intend on it, but I pulled honey off and we was pulling if you've seen how we done our honey supers, I moved those. I got double deep hives, and during the honey flow I moved my excluder down below that second deep and let the brood all emerge out and let them backfill it with honey. Now I pull that second deep box off with the honey supers and extract it all, and then I bring that empty extracted deep back and set it on top of what was a single at that point and make it back to a double deep. Well, I've been doing that for the last few years, and really the key to that, if you're going to do that, when you pull that honey off, you have to immediately start feeding. And I was slow to start feeding this year, and it quickly really made a huge difference in the population size of the hive. They really knocked themselves down to a lot smaller colonies than what I wanted, and it was just simply because I didn't get feed on them in time. As I went through pulling honey and making splits, I started to just leave those deeps on. I pull the excluder off and place that second deep of honey back on top, and those hives are a lot different. They're a lot stronger. They're now in end of August, they are very strong hives. So that made a huge difference. It would have helped a whole lot if I would have put feed on those hives I pulled that deep of honey off of. If I would have started feeding immediately, it would have made a big difference. But I didn't, and it made a lot bigger difference than I anticipated, and it didn't take long, a couple of weeks. So that's one thing to remember. From now on, I'm not gonna move the excluder down below that second deep. I'm just gonna leave them double deeps from now on, and only pull the honey the supers off above the excluder. I'm gonna manage that a little bit different from now on, and keep my hives stronger without having to really pour feed to them after I pull the honey off. But anyway, so as I went through and started leaving those second deeps on, leaving those hives stronger, putting the splits on top of those, I started to pull a lot more brood up in my splits too. Towards the end, I was pulling 5 and 6 frames of open brood up into my splits. And I've talked about it before, how much of a difference that it makes with a weaker split, say 2 or 3 frames of brood, compared to a stronger split like those. And it really showed. I had some of the earlier ones that I did 2 to 3 frames of brood. There's a couple of those yards, man. I made 25 splits in the first round. I had less than 10 queen rat splits out of it. It was just terrible. And today I've checked the last ones that I've done, where I had 5 or 6 frames of brood moved into them, and they're almost 100%. So that just really shows the difference that the strength in those splits make. And it kind of seems like the timing might have made a difference too. I don't know, I don't have an explanation for that, but I think the earlier splits for some reason had more trouble getting queen rat than the later splits did, with circumstances outside of the strength of those splits. Because I did have some of them that I made stronger, and maybe even some of the late ones, had one here and there that was weaker, but they seemed to get queen rat better during August than they did right after the honey flow, when I pulled the supers off. So I don't know. I'm gonna adjust my timing a little bit, and I'm gonna quit pulling those second deeps off, and manage those hives a little bit different from now on.